going on, everyone? We are back with another In Search of Darkness 1980s horror movie review. I am Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are
Color Depraved.
And today we are going to be talking about Cat People, a movie released in 1982.
Right.
It is, we're
Our
starting
first
1982.
82, right?
We
right.
ended the 1981 ones
Mm-hmm.
for the first In Search of Darkness.
Right.
But yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes has given this a critic score of 63%, with 56 reviews, and then an audience score of 46% with 10,000 plus ratings. So the audience is actually
a little bit more critical of this.
A little bit more critical of
All right.
this. Which, by the way, that seems to be a thing. Critics and audiences never agree.
Right.
Never agree on things. And then, so this movie was released April 2nd, 1982. Had a budget of 12
It's almost an April Fool's joke. Sorry.
Had a budget of 12.5 million, made 21 million.
Right.
Directed by Paul Schrader. Screenplay was written by Alan Ormsby and Paul Schrader. Based on Cat People, which is a 1942 film, which I have not seen that one. Produced by Charles W. Fries and edited by Jacqueline Combs. Cinematography was done by John Bailey. Music by Giorgio Moroder. And produced by RKO Pictures and distributed by Universal. There's your details.
All right.
Hit him with the plot, baby.
So this one has a couple what I would call prologues. The first is set back in history, some primitive society, and you're seeing, virginal sacrifice and two panthers, and then later on a girl goes up and meets a panther without it being upset with her, and then that sort of transitions into eyes of present day in the movie, same eyes. But you also see, so present day Irina, who is played by Natasha, is going from Canada to New Orleans to meet her brother, because she's been raised in an orphanage since she was about 4 and is reconnecting with her brother. And pretty quickly after meeting him, the next prologue-ish type thing takes place, where a prostitute is killed by a Black Panther in her room, the hotel room where she plies her trade. And somehow the panther is trapped in that room, and the room has a camera feed in it and everything. Like, this is a whole prostitution business here. And the zoo, which we'll get to, is called to come take care of the panther.
Oh, did I space out over it? Did you mention the part where Natasha had just met with her brother and he's like disappeared?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, Natasha is trying to entertain herself because she traveled all this way to meet her brother, and he's just done disappeared. And the housekeeper, Famale, tells her all of these different things she can do, and for some reason she just decides she wants to go to the zoo. And the zoo is not a zoo. This is a horrible zoo. I hate this place. It's just brick cages.
It's the worst zoo I have ever seen in my life.
It's awful. But she is attracted to this Black Panther and is drawing it and so on and so forth, and ends up there super late at night after zoo close and everything, and the head zookeeper comes out and sees her standing there still sketching, and she just basically jumps from the ground up onto the wall. And he coaxes her down, and they hit it off and basically just start dating. He gets her a job in the gift shop there. Her brother is still MIA. So at that point, the panther attacks one of the zookeepers, and they're going to euthanize it because it's not at all domesticated. It's, now killed somebody, and it has escaped. And at that point, Natasha's brother shows back up and tries to explain to Natasha that they're cat people. She knows that she's a cat person deep down, and that basically they're incestuous.
They can only make love to other cat people, and it's like a family line of incestuous relationships.
Yeah, it's weird how it's kind of explained. Like it sounds like there are so few of them that there's only ever like a brother and sister at a time, and so in order to A, continue their line, and B, not transition into a panther, they have to procreate with each other. If they have sex with a human, they transition into a panther, and the only way to turn back into their human form is to kill somebody. So that's why brothers and sisters basically live as husband and wife. But Natasha's been reared apart from him in an orphanage as a human being, and is like, yeah, no, that's not gonna fly. Like, that's gross. Get away from me. So at that point, I can't remember what causes Paul to turn back into a panther, other than the fact that he's just pissed at her. But the zookeepers show up because, again, she is dating one of them, and end up shooting her brother, which she wants at that point. Like, guy's a creep. So she is now the only cat person in existence that we know of and that she knows of. So she ends up running away and then realizing that's not going to work. And her brother comes to her in a dream and for some reason is like, you've got to go back. Like, we never get a reason for like why you've got to go back.
80s love not having excuses for things. They just happen.
So she goes back and she makes love to the zookeeper and turns into a panther. But her love for him saves her from killing him. She runs off to his getaway cabin and kills his caretaker instead because, you know, you got to do what you got to do. And he follows her there, finds his caretaker deceased and up a tree, which, by the way, is great because that is what panthers do with their kills. So I did appreciate that. And she basically tells him, look, this is what I am. It sucks. So you're going to have to kill me. And he says, absolutely not. And she says, well, if you don't kill me, then make love to me again. Turn me back into a panther because then I can just live amongst my own kind, which is weird. We were like, okay. Like, your own kind is...
She definitely meant animals, like...
Yeah, but, like, she was reared as a human. Like, so I you know, like, all of a sudden she's okay with being a panther.
Well, I think it was more, she was reared as a human, but she always felt more at home amongst animals. Like, if you remember...
That's also true.
In the beginning, when she was standing there just drawing the panthers, she even told him she felt more comfortable being...
Around animals. But here's the thing. Like, the way that they were kept at that zoo, it's a goddamn kennel.
Right.
I would have been like, turn me into a panther. I'm in the swamplands. Just let me go. You know? Because she could have lived there as a panther. But anyway. Right. So he ties her to the bed because that's, like, not going to work with a panther anyway. And obviously fucks her into being a panther, which is just kind of weird, y'all. And then...
Chases her through the city and then catches her.
Yeah, well, and then... she's in the zoo and he's petting her and she's content apparently.
And he's like dating his assistant.
Who has been riding his nuts the whole time. Like that's what she's wanted. So yeah, anyway, that's the synopsis.
Yeah. Alright, so this actually has one of the more known casts for me of the movies that I've seen in terms of recognizing and knowing who people are. Other than I had never seen Natasha Kinski, who is the one that played Irina.
Nastasia.
Played Irina Gallier.
Right.
The amazing Malcolm McDowell.
Right.
Is Paul Gallier. For those now, I know most of Malcolm McDowell's work from the Halloween movies, Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. He played Dr. Loomis in the remakes.
Yeah.
However, he is probably mostly known for his role in A Clockwork Orange.
Isn't he in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest too?
I believe so.
Yeah.
John Hurt. It's a very, very young Malcolm McDowell, by the way,
very
too.
young.
Like baby Malcolm.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It's cute.
John Hurd, another amazing actor who's been in so much. He played the doctor, or the vet.
Well, the head zookeeper, yeah. That falls in love with the Panther woman. Yeah.
My favorite casting choice in any of this, Annette O'Toole plays the lady that is basically all
Zookeeper's
over
assistant,
Zookeeper.
who's
But most of you would. Well, I know her mostly from her portrayal as adult Beverly Marsh in the original made-for-TV.
But she's so young in this. Yeah,
Stephen King's It.
Yeah. Great actress though.
Yeah. And then to round out some other, Ruby D as Famale.
She was good.
Ed Begley as Joe Cray. Scott Paulin as Bill Cyril. Frankie Faison as Detective Brandt.
Right.
And then we're just going to leave it off there for now. There's some other people, but yeah, that's the cast. And again, another very solid cast. I feel like the 80s were really good with casting people.
It was. Yeah, it was a very solid cast. They portrayed all of the different elements that were needed in this very, very well.
I think the only annoyance I got was this little bit of love triangle.
Oh, yeah, between the head zookeeper.
Between the head zookeeper and the Panther chick and the chick that liked him. And it was like, he's constantly chasing the Panther chick, she's constantly chasing him.
Right.
And it's just, I hate that trope in movies. I really do.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean, it is what it is. So.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like this one, it was solid. Now, I do happen to know that this is not, while they used all the same character names, the concept of the Panther, so on and so forth, it is just sort of a vague adaptation of the 1942 film. Because the storyline in terms of how everything happens isn't the same, but there is still the triangle concept in terms of 2 women, 1 man, who will he pick, type thing. So I think that this one, honestly, for me, just really suffers in terms of the ending again. I just didn't feel like it was a very strong ending. It was just, I felt like she fought so strongly against her brother, which, by the way, I understand. It was an incestuous relationship that he wanted, and he was creepy as hell.
Great job, Malcolm.
Yeah, his advances were just like, yeah, that's not a turn on for even someone who's not your sibling. But, like, I just feel like at the end, and I kind of understand it, it was a defeatist attitude that she had in terms of the only ways that I can see to go forward are either for you to kill me or to turn into a panther so that basically I can forget any of this ever happened and just be a cat. But, like, it was just...
I hate it. I just think it's so stupid. So the very, very, very end of the movie, the lead zoologist person, kisses his, what I'm guessing is girlfriend and or fiance, because she's living with him at this point in the movie, because she says, "I'll see you at home."
Yeah.
And then he walks out to go pet the panther that he's still in love with.
Yeah, obviously.
And I'm just like, this is so stupid.
Well, like, Alice kisses him, like, right here and says, "I'll see you at home," and he's just dismissive of her. But it's like, dude, like, if you're still whooped on the panther, probably don't lead this Granted, she's running after him like crazy, so maybe he would just got tired of. Anyway.
Although her and I had more of an interesting question. If during one of these, like, sexual excursions, he were to get her pregnant.
Yeah, does she have human offspring? Does she have, like, is she gonna have kittens? I'm not sure. Like, can she get pregnant from a human? I mean, there's questions. We have questions. Honestly, I think it was well done, and it is a solid story in terms of there's really not much left unexplained. Like, the background may not be what we're used to in terms of, like, shapeshifters, paranormal type stuff, but they make it pretty cut and dry here, where in this story, the transition requires human sacrifice to turn back to a human.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I felt like the end was very, like, it was a quick wrap up. Like, I don't know if they should have played out, because she came back knowing she was a werepanther, very, like, you could see her spine had straightened. She had more prowess. Like, she had become almost the panther spirit in human flesh when she seduces him the first time, transitions, blah, blah, blah. So, like,
her transformation looked pretty cool, too.
Yeah, I see this woman that has become, like, fulfilled, because at the very beginning, she's a little bit timid, and she's a virgin because, like, it's just never felt right, is what she says, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, you see this seductress, and she even walks, like, she pulled it off really well. She even stalks like a panther would, and then she's just like, kill me or turn me back into a panther, and then it's over.
Right.
And it's like, you're still, well, now you're the third wheel, the spare woman, his side chick. I don't know. So for me, it was just the storyline that I was like, well, I'm not fulfilled. But it was very well done.
Interesting to note, it was nominated for awards. I don't know if it actually won them. It doesn't seem like it does.
Right.
Because it just says nominated. But it was nominated for the Best Actress Saturn Award.
Okay.
For Natasha's
She did a really good job, yeah.
role.
Oh, and David Bowie
but it won
was in the soundtrack.
Best Original Motion Picture Score for Giorgio's score for the movie, and then Best Original Motion Picture Song for David Bowie's Cat People
Putting
song.
Out Fire. Yes, it was definitely Bowie at the end there. It was really nice. All right.
So, yeah. So, time for the judgment. I really enjoyed this movie. I do think it seemed kind of slow in a lot of moments.
I mean, granted,
it's really her discovering herself.
It needed to be because, her brother just disappeared, so it's kind of her, like, picking her ninnies, waiting for him, so it needed... But yeah, it's self-discovery.
It's sexual self-discovery.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing of the movie.
Which is kind of a funny theme in this, in terms of, like, virginal status to predator status, and, like, the panther is what, like, the beast you turn into when the sexual urge takes you, and maybe you're going to be incestuous. Like, let's drop that in there.
Right.
It's like, wow. Right. No.
But yeah, I did enjoy the movie. Again, the acting holds.
It's good.
It's so well done. So well done.
The two males, the two females, because there's Nastasia and
I didn't have
Annette, but then there's John Hurd and Malcolm, and, like, the four of them together is magic.
I didn't have any of the issues at all with, like, if you guys watched our review the last review that we did of Ghost Story, one of our complaints was that movie felt very disjointed and kind of all over the place. This one wasn't. It actually, like, you could follow along. There wasn't a whole lot of open plot holes that made you go, but why is this, like, honestly, our open plot hole was, would she have kittens or babies?
Right. But that's more of, like, speculation after the fact, yeah.
Right.
But like I said, in their universe, they made the rules very clear, whether we like them or not.
I think our big complaint, and this is one of the things that I don't know, and it would be something I would love to talk with the author about, or whoever wrote the movie, to help expand their rules. Is the rule is if two cat people are getting it on, there's no issues. They don't transform. No, nothing.
Right.
They only transform if they're getting it on with an actual regular human being.
Right.
But what happens if it's like a threesome? Say there's a cat person and a human. Is that the one way?
Two cat people and a human is
right.
what you're saying, yeah.
Is that the loophole? Giggity?
Maybe. And who gets pregnant?
Right.
Questions.
I don't know.
But it's not loose ends, which is what Ghost Story suffered from. There were just too many stragglers out there with no answers. This one had the answers. It's just we like to speculate just a little bit.
So I'm going to try to give this, and I say try because I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. I should be able to, though. 3 panther faces out of 5.
Okay. I really like this one. I don't love it.
Right.
And honestly, it's just more taste than anything, because I think this was exceptionally well done. I would watch this again just for Malcolm and John's performances in this. I also, I think Nastasia is gorgeous and does a great job and plays both Virgin and Vixen exceptionally well. I would have liked to see more of the Vixen. I would have liked to see her live with that longer and only have him, I don't know, turn her into Panther and put her down or whatever after she's struggled to contain it, or I don't know. But I'm going to give this a 3.5 paw prints out of...
Oh, you're going with paw prints?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It may not be my favorite story, but I thought it was good. It's also fun to note, and this isn't really relevant to synopsis in the plot, but it's fun to note that when they go into the brother's house at the end of all of this, they do arrest his caretaker because there is a dungeon in his basement where the caretaker has obviously been providing his panther self prostitutes. So, apparently, he was getting it on with the women of New Orleans and then eating them afterwards. Fun. Yes.
All right, guys, that is going to do it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Join us next week, next video.
Right.
It might be next week. I don't know when this is coming out. As we cover Basket Case. 1982's Basket Case.
Uh-huh.
So, with that being said, we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.